Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm great. It's Friday.
Yeah, you're rolling your eyes at me over there. What you all frustrated about?
I'm not.
Oh, you were just rolling your eyes?
Was I rolling my eyes?
I think so.
It's just involuntary anymore. I do it so often.
He's just like built in. Coming up later in the program, I'm going to be visiting with Eileen Ogintz, and she is the author of a book called Taking the Kids. It's actually, in addition to a book, I believe she's got like a website and a column. It's a column is what it is, not a book. She's got books too, but this is like a syndicated column, Taking the Kids, and we're going to talk about family vacations and some cool ideas that are maybe a little different than what a lot of people think of for family vacations. So that's coming up later in the program. Today is Friday, and I'm looking at my quote for the day. It's from Robert Frost. Do you know who that is?
He's a poet.
Oh, I thought it was Jack Frost's brother. No?
Could be.
No, it's Robert. Yeah, you're right. He's a poet. I double-checked. The best way out is always through. So there you go. Best way out is always through.
Agreed. Fight through it.
There you go.
Could be painful. Could last 2 years or more.
Or could last 4 hours.
Best way to go.
The best way out of this program is just hang in there, people. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Friday, April the 21st. Today is Bulldogs Are Beautiful Day. It is Kindergarten Day. It is LGBT National Day of Silence. National Chocolate-Covered Cashew Day. What? Cashew? You don't like the way I say cashew?
No, that's not what I was laughing at.
All right. National Day of Silence. National Donate Life, also known as Blue and Green Day. National Pro-Life T-Shirt Day. National Yellow Bat Day. It's the Queen's birthday. And the one that I think is the funniest on here is National Surprise Drug Test Day. Because yesterday was 4/20. It was like the drug celebration day. So today is National Surprise Drug Test Day.
Love it.
There are people who are like, well, I've wanted to fire him for a long time. Today's a good day to do a drug test because I know what he was up to yesterday. All right. Anyway, get out there and celebrate the right way today on this Friday.
John and Heidi.
How much do you pay for cable or satellite? Don't forget your DVR rental fees and online movie accounts. When you add it all up, many people are paying well over $100 a month. Some pay way more. What if you could cut that down to zero? There's a device that surfs the net to find shows and programs you like with no monthly fee. Many have already cut their cable or tossed out their dish. If you have internet and a TV, you're all set. Learn more about this awesome technology that can save you money every month at channelsurfertv.com. Use promo code RADIO to save 25% at channelsurfertv.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. This is one of those stories that when you first hear it, you're like, no way, that's not true. But it's actually a fun story. It's from 1997, so it's from a while back. When you were a kid, did you ever hear about the cow that jumped over the moon?
Yeah.
He's in this story. Well, maybe not quite, but sort of. This story is from way back in 1997, so what is that, 20 years ago now? The dazed crew of a Japanese trawler was plucked out of the Sea of Japan. They were hanging onto the wreckage of their sunken ship. And as soon as they were saved, they were imprisoned because the people that saved them thought they were all crazy. Here's what happened. They said, okay, what happened to your boat? Why did did the thing sink? And they said, a cow fell out of the clear blue sky and sunk our ship. So these people thought they were nuts. They remained in prison for several weeks. The Russian Air Force reluctantly finally informed Japanese authorities that the crew of the cargo plane had apparently stolen a cow that was wandering on the edge of a Siberian airfield, forced the cow into the airplane, and then they were going to take it, for whatever reason, take it home. Unprepared for live cargo, the Russian crew was ill-equipped to manage this cow that was rampaging all the stuff inside. He was like knocking things over, and so at that point, they had to make the decision to save ourselves. We need to open the cargo and push the cow out, which is what they did. And what are the odds of the entire Sea of Japan that cow would land on a boat and bust a hole in it and sink the entire boat? I think that is just crazy. So anyway, that happened. They pushed a cow out of the boat, out of the ship, the airship that was cruising through the sky at 30,000 feet.
Oh, poor thing.
I know. That is very sad. I don't understand why they would steal a cow anyway. I mean, It's like they don't have cows in Russia? Of course they do.
I don't know.
That's just weird. Anyway, I thought that was just a fun story. It's from way back in 1997. I read that a long time ago, and I thought it was funny. And as I was cruising through the internet looking for a fun story for this today, I saw that, and I was like, you know what? I don't know if I've ever shared that on the radio, but it's a fun story, so fun stuff. And, you know, it's true, because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. From Louisiana, a reliable family car suddenly developed a tendency to decelerate, leading to the discovery that they'd been driving for years with $40,000 worth of cocaine in their gas tank.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. It was a suburban New Orleans family. They bought a 1996 Toyota Camry from a car lot in 1997. So the thing was only a year old. The car started losing speed. It was taken to a mechanic who discovered 2 bricks of cocaine wrapped around the vehicle's fuel line. The wrapping had apparently come loose recently. The car's owner were not involved in drug trafficking, but their names were withheld in the case because they were going, what happens if the people who do own this want their stash back? Anyway, investigators were now going to attempt to work backward to see who owned the vehicle before them and where did this cocaine come from. So
Interesting.
there you go. That's kind of nuts. But that happened. $40,000 worth of cocaine in a gas tank. And you know that's almost as expensive as gas. And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
And this is your brain on drugs. A man wanted to rob a Bank of America in San Francisco, and he walked up to the bank branch and grabbed one of their little deposit slips, and he wrote, "This is a stick-up, STIKKUP. Put all your money, MUNY, in the bag." While he was standing in line, he got nervous because there was somebody waiting behind him that kept saying, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" And he thought, oh, man, maybe they saw what I was writing. So he left Bank of America, walked across the street to Wells Fargo. After waiting in line there, keeping the note hidden so nobody would see it, he walks up to the teller and slides the thing across. Surmising from his bad spelling errors that he's not the brightest bulb on the old Christmas tree, she said, "I'm sorry, sir. This is a Bank of America deposit slip. If you want to rob the Wells Fargo, you'll need to fill out one on a Wells Fargo slip, or you can go across the street to Bank of America." And the guy said, "Okay," and he left and walked across the street. They called the police. He got arrested before he even got to the front of the line. So
Wow.
that was pretty smart thinking for that teller. He's like, "You don't look all that smart. You don't know how to spell nothing." All right, we've got your scoop of the day, and that is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. Scientists in China found the remains of a prehistoric mammal about the size of a cat with the remains of a tiny dinosaur called parrot dinosaur in its stomach. It was startling because it's the first proof mammals hunted dinosaurs. The conventional theory is that the early mammals were timid creatures the size of chipmunks cowering from the giant reptiles, but in this case, they found a parrot dinosaur in its belly. So a mammal ate a dinosaur. So they were definitely on the planet at the same time as well, is what I surmise. Eating at home can save you dough, right, Heidi?
Yes.
Well, maybe. They say, according to a new study, they warn that if you rely on recipes from cookbooks to prepare food, it could be a recipe for disaster in terms of calories. So saying you might save a buck or two, but you better be careful because they're saying a lot of the stuff that you're putting in there is not so good for you. I think a lot of it depends on what you're making.
Well, you know what? If you go to a restaurant, you're going to take in more calories. I'm sorry, but
well,
that's the
you don't know
case.
what you're taking in. Usually. Hey, over here, Dutch pedestrians. This is funny. They asked a police officer to stop a fight, but it wasn't a fight between two people. It was a fight between a cat and a giant rat.
Wow.
The pedestrian said, I don't want to get involved. The rat was about 12 inches long. The Roosendaal City police officer separated the animals using a broom. He hit the rat with the broom and broke the broom in half. The rat was fine.
Jeepers.
Yeah, he was a big old monstrous rat. With the half of the broom that he still had in his hands, the officer brushed the rat into a nearby stream. The cat took off, made an exit. Exit, stage left even. So, Dutch pedestrians did not want to get involved in the rat and cat fight. Instead, they said, hey.
Can't say I blame him. I wouldn't get involved either.
Do you know who Tyler Clinton is? Have you ever heard of that name?
No.
You remember Bill Clinton? He used to be the president.
Yeah.
Remember he had a brother named Roger Clinton Jr.?
Okay.
Well, this is his boy. Roger Clinton Jr.'s son is now a model. He just signed with a major
I saw
modeling.
pictures of that.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
So when I mentioned, you didn't even know?
I didn't know his name.
Oh.
I just saw that Clinton's nephew was a model.
Oh, well, there you go. And we usually don't get into politics here, but since we talked about politics from the left, let's talk about politics from the right. Neither of them really have to do with politics, but Ivanka Trump. She's in the news because Bed Bath & Beyond has announced that they will continue to sell her products because there are people saying that they should quit, and they're like, no, we're selling them, so we're going to keep selling them.
They're selling like crazy.
A recent study suggests that the magma chamber underneath Yellowstone National Park is 2.5 times larger than we thought it was. That means if it erupts, or maybe we should say when it erupts, it would be about 2,000 times more powerful than Mount St. Helens, the eruption from 1980. Remember that one?
Not really. I was just little.
I remember. We just talked about this the other day with our son. When I was a little kid, we were there. We drove out there. We were in Washington when that happened because we were talking about silly things that happened. And I remember from that trip, my dad didn't realize it, but he was driving down what he thought was a road. And it turns out it was not a road. It was a sidewalk. And we drove right up to the base of the Space Needle.
Nice.
We're like, I don't think this is a road. Like, yeah, well, we know that now. And finally, hey, stop clowning around with your kids. Literally. It says a recent study by the University of Sheffield in England says small children and even older kids don't like clowns and they're scared of them. The study of more than 250 children aged 4 to 16 found clown images were widely disliked. It suggests that decorating children's rooms and hospital wards with paintings of clowns to create a nurturing atmosphere could actually be backfiring. Researcher Dr. Penny Curtis said, as adults, we make assumptions about what works for children. But we found that clowns are universally disliked by children. Some found them quite frightening, end quote. So there you go. They're saying maybe you shouldn't be clowning around when you're decorating. Just do something else. I don't know what. What could you put up that's not so scary? Like a...
Zombies.
Zombies are less scary than clowns. Is that what you're trying to say? Vicious rabid animals? No. All right. This has been your Scoop of the Day on a Friday.
John and Heidi.
Imagine the sand between your toes and an ice-cold drink in your hand. Join us this November for 80s in the Sand.
Week-long event with 80s music from over a dozen awesome bands.
Plus, meet 80s icons from the movies like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
The website is 80sinthesand.com.
Book your week-long 80s vacation right now at 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. As we get closer and closer to school being out and summer being here, a lot of people are turning their focus to summer vacation. We've got a guest today that's going to give us some fun advice on making sure you do that summer vacation the right way and make sure you keep the kids in mind. We have Eileen Ogintz. She is the writer of the syndicated column Taking the Kids, and she's going to give us some great advice. First of all, Eileen, how are you today?
I'm great, John.
What are some things to consider when you're planning a family vacation? Because, sometimes mom and dad have a place they want to go, but it's not always the same as what the kids want to do. What are some things you should keep in mind when you're putting that plan together?
Well, obviously budget, right? Because you want to be able to splurge a little, but you do not want to blow next month's mortgage. One thing families rarely think about is travel insurance, and you want to be prepared when things go awry. A company like Allianz, for example, they have policies where kids are insured free, and they also have this really cool new Travel Smart app that'll help you, like, find a hospital or things like that should you need it. And then, of course, consider what the kids want to do, because we all know if the kids are happy, everyone's happy, for sure.
Absolutely, because I've been on vacations where we were having a blast, but our kids were not, and I'll tell you what, it kind of ruins the whole thing, doesn't it?
Right, and it ruins ruins the whole thing if they're having a blast and you're not, right?
Exactly.
You need places that are good for everybody.
So let's talk about some of those. What are some of the top family travel destinations these days?
Well, one thing is we all know kids love water parks, right?
Yeah.
Grapevine, Texas, for example, they have two really cool resorts, Gaylord, Texan, and Great Wolf Lodge, that both have water parks, but for the parents, they have like an urban wine trail, with wine tasting all over the place. And another bet that's guaranteed to please are cruises, because there's activities for all ages, and you can avoid the hassles of flying because you can cruise from a port near your home. And then another bet a lot of people don't think about are dude ranches. If you check out the National Dude Ranchers Association, you're going to find these days dude ranches have everything from mountain biking and hiking and tubing and anything you could possibly want to do. And like a cruise, it's a real vacation for everybody because nobody's doing the heavy lifting. It's not like renting a house at the beach and one person's cooking and the other person's cleaning and washing towels. And so it just is a real fun time.
And that'd be like kind of living the movie City Slickers. That's what they did on that movie.
Except it's much fancier than a lot of these places. Are much more like a resort, So for an outdoor loving family, that's a really good bet. And the other thing about cruises, with a company like Carnival Corporation, because they have so many different brands, you're guaranteed to find one that suits your style, whether it's Carnival with the water parks or Princess with separate areas for adults or Holland America with their cooking demonstration clinics, and they're all going to have organized kids and teen activities.
How about families that are multi-generational? Maybe because there's some of those now where it's mom and dad, and then there's kids, and there's even grandkids that are all involved. So when you're doing something like that, do you kind of have to think of different places maybe to make it work for everybody?
Well, I think cruises and dude ranches, places like that totally work. And if you were to go to Orlando, for example, you'll see many more multi-gen families than anywhere else. But I think what you need to do is everyone's got to be on the same page, right? Like from the beginning, who's paying for what? And how often do Grandma and Grandpa want to babysit? You might think they want to do nothing but be with the grandkids, but they may want to play golf, right? Or take a nap. And it's always good to plan when you're trying a multi-gen trip, and it might be not only 3 generations, but it might be your brothers and sisters and their kids, aunts and uncles. It can be a bigger group, is to plan as far out as possible. If you're doing something like a cruise maybe, or you're going somewhere you've never been, think about using a travel agent who's an expert on that, because it can be very confusing. And it's always good if you can have one person in the family who's your designated planner-in-chief, right? So you kind of funnel everything through them. And when you use a travel agent, then it's like not all on them if something goes wrong, right?
Absolutely. They're
communicating with the travel agent, but then it's not like you're going to be blaming them if you don't like the place or something happens, And so I think that's why that's a good bet. So we're seeing a lot of families go back to using travel agents, and a lot of times you're not paying anyway, or if you're paying a small fee, it's totally worth it for the peace of mind, I think.
Again, our guest today, Eileen Ogintz. She writes the popular long-running syndicated family travel column, Taking the Kids, and her website, takingthekids.com. Now, when people are going to be planning this, how far in advance should they start planning a trip, and what would you say is the very first thing that you want to do? If you're going to say priority number 1 is this, what would that be?
Budget. Think about how much can you spend, and then the second thing should be dates, and the third thing is sit down with the kids and make sure everybody has a say in the itinerary, right? Everybody's not going to get to do everything they want, but if everybody gets to do something they want, you'll have a happy group.
That sounds like fun. And I think that's some great advice. That I think they call that compromise, don't they?
Well, isn't that what being a family is about? Compromise?
I think so. Absolutely. Eileen, thank you so much for doing this. How long have you been doing this column now, and how long have you been a travel writer?
I I've been a travel writer a really long time, and it started by accident because I was a reporter for the Chicago Trib, and I went on a trip with my kids who were very young at the time, and it was a disaster. And I wrote about it, and it was nice for other parents to see that things don't always go perfectly on vacation. That's another thing to remember, John, is sometimes the missteps make for the best memories.
I was going to just say that. Sometimes when you look back at all of those little, things that happened and those adventures that happened, and at least for our family, those are some of the fondest memories we have, where we talk about, remember when we went down the wrong road that time and we took that wrong turn, and, that made that maybe mundane trip turn into quite the adventure.
Totally. So I think we should tell parents and grandparents out there, don't get stressed out if it doesn't go as planned, because that's when you're really making the memories. And I think it shows you as a family, you kind of come together, right, and make the best of it, soldier on together. So I think
Absolutely.
That's good.
Well, Eileen, thank you again for your time. You have a great day.
You too.
Our guest today, Eileen Ogintz, and she is the author and the writer of a very popular syndicated family travel column, Taking the Kids. If you'd like to know more about her, she's got a website, takingthekids.com. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
It's almost graduation time. If you have a son or daughter finishing high school, you need to hear this. They can go to college without racking up a pile of student loans. Matthew Einstein did. He saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for your kids or for yourself. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20% at freeeducationuniversity.com. That's freeeducationuniversity.com.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The original draft of Gone with the Wind, Scarlett O'Hara's name was Pansy O'Hara. And it says Margaret Mitchell, who wrote Gone with the Wind between 1926 and 29. In her early drafts, the main character was named Pansy O'Hara, and the O'Hara plantation, we know as Tara, was called Fontenay Hall, or Fountainay Hall, something like that.
Huh.
So there you go. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There's a college course of, quote, films of Keanu Reeves, end quote, offered at the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California.
I'd take that.
Would you really?
I would.
We've watched
I like
several of his
Keanu.
more recent movies, and the one thing I gotta say is, dude, shave that scraggly
Oh,
beard.
the beard is awful.
I mean, he's a handsome guy.
He's
but
a
that
very
beard,
handsome
we
guy,
just
but he
watched
cannot grow a
John Wick
healthy beard.
and John Wick 2, and then what was the other one? Guest House? Or no, that's not what it's called.
Knock Knock.
Knock Knock. And all of those, he's got that beard, and I'm like, oh man, just shave that thing. It's just all patchy and funky looking. Oh, hey, back to this. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Kind of forgot what we were doing. Milton Bradley invented this game called Twister. Guess what they wanted to call it originally?
What?
Pretzel. But they couldn't because the name Pretzel had been copyrighted already. So there you go. Couple of fun facts for you, and then a whole lot of other stuff. Just news and comment here on a Friday.
John and Heidi.
Are you tired of the same old 9-to-5 rat race? Sick of not controlling your financial destiny? We partner with a leading health company whose mission is to support you to build a home-based business and help others be healthier, drop excess pounds, and live longer, more rewarding lives. Best of all, everyone who joins after you is placed on your team. No bugging family or friends. Call 866-741-7242 for more information. Or if you like, text the word income to the same number, 866-741-7242. 866-741-7242.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Don't try to find these people on Facebook. You know why?
Why?
Because they're not there. They're not going to be there. Here's some Facebook holdouts. There's a person named Molly Arwood, and there's another one on here called Thomas Chin. These are all people who said...
cares?
But I'm just saying, these are all people who signed on to this thing saying, I will not, and you're never going to convince me to be on Facebook. Another one is Karen Goldschmidt and Jake Edelstein. More than 900 million people worldwide are on their Facebook page, and that's how many check that at least once a month. So if you are on Facebook at least once a month, you're in with 900 million others that do that. But there are some people that fall into a group that they call Facebook holdouts. We know some of these. They say they don't want to be on Facebook. They insist that they don't need to be on Facebook. They say, hey, I'm living life just fine without this long-forgotten acquaintances, you know, people from all over the place that I met one time reaching out to me and saying, hey, remember me? They don't want that. Not everybody's into that kind of thing. Anyway, says here, these people are called resistors. And there's a quote that says, I'm absolutely in touch with everyone in my life that I want to be in touch with.
Yeah.
That's what this Molly Arwood says.
It's exactly the way I feel about high school reunions, by the way.
I know you do. She goes on to say, I don't need to share triviality with someone that I might have known for like 6 months, 12 years ago, end quote. Here's the thing that's kind of neat about the social media, because in the beginning, you were on Facebook before I was, and I was like, why are you on there? That doesn't make any sense. This is just silly. And then you're over there in the corner on your phone laughing, and I'm like sitting there just staring at the wall with nothing to do. I'm like, what are you doing? That kind of looks like you're having fun over there. What's so funny? So I finally signed up, and I'm like, I like it. I mean, it's pretty cool. The thing that I think is neat about it is you have a chance to touch base with people that you want to touch base with. You don't have to connect with everybody, but, I usually do. So there you go.
I'm pretty well over it. I really am hardly ever on there. If I am on, it's 10 minutes quick and I'm done and I don't go back again for the rest of the day. It's just I'm not on there much.
I'm not on as much as I used to be, but I still think it's kind of fun. Coming up, we got politicians. They're becoming kind of a thing of the past, maybe? I don't know. We'll tell you all about it in a bit.
John and Heidi.
How much do you pay for cable or satellite? Don't forget your DVR rental fees and online movie accounts. When you add it all up, many people are paying well over $100 a month. Some pay way more. What if you could cut that down to zero? There's a device that surfs the net to find shows and programs you like with no monthly fee. Many have already cut their cable or tossed out their dish. If you have internet and a TV, you're all set. Learn more about this awesome technology that can save you money every month at channelsurfertv.com. Use promo code RADIO to save 25% at channelsurfertv.com. Heidi, when you were a kid, did you ever say, I want to be a politician when I grow up?
I did not.
You didn't? Has that ever been something that's crossed your mind, thinking, I'd like to be in charge of something. I'd like to run this country or this city or this county or
I
this
think
state.
there are a lot of things I could fix, but I don't know that I have the patience to run.
So you're saying...
Although it might be nice, with all the research that they do on you when you're running, it might be nice to piece together some of my 20s.
Don't really
Find out
remember
exactly what I was up to.
I was up to. Oh, that's what I was doing.
Oh.
Yeah, don't vote for me. I wouldn't vote for me either. Anyway, it says, where will our future politicians come from? They could be few and far between. A new survey from a company called Recruit Co. said 21.4% of boys and 26.7% of girls picked politics as their least desired career choice. It even ranked lower than high-rise construction work or the Army. Some of the high school seniors surveyed, their view of life as politics is, quote, boring or awful, or they believe political work, quote, does not matter.
Whoa.
A majority of the girls surveyed said they would like to become an actress. They don't really want to be.
Who wouldn't?
They don't want to be a politician, which is really kind of like an actress. You just have to act, every 4 years to get reelected.
Here's the thing. I would call politics anything less than boring. It's definitely not boring. It would be very, very, very stressful.
Yeah, it's tough stuff. Coming up, we're going to talk about some monkeys and some interesting stuff they're learning about them. Bit ago, we were talking about politics. Now we're talking about monkeys. This is just quite a program today, Heidi. New research from Nature magazine says that apes and monkeys might have an equivalent of the golden rule for behavior. The idea that primates are paying one another for labor with the intention of being paid back proves true, especially when it comes to hunting. One chimpanzee or monkey can't easily bag prey by itself, so they recruit others to help out. And they help by stalking and corralling and whatnot. Then, when the prey is in hand, the hunter shares the prey with their helpers, which reinforces the cooperative behavior for future hunts. So, like, hey, you help me catch this one, and then I'll help you catch yours later. So, they're saying they have kind of this little pay-it-forward little rule that the monkeys and apes are doing. So, maybe we should learn from the monkeys and the apes.
Okay.
Sometimes I kind of think maybe we'd be a little better off if we just looked at that kind of stuff. Coming up, we've got a very interesting story here about a guy and an interesting punishment that's going to be doled out. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
It's almost graduation time. If you have a son or daughter finishing high school, you need to hear this. They can go to college without racking up a pile of student loans. Matthew Einstein did. He saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for your kids or for yourself. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20% at freeeducationuniversity.com. That's freeeducationuniversity.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. This is an interesting story here, and I'm excited to see what Heidi's opinion on this story is. First of all, I'm going to tell you this. The victim of a hit-and-run accident says that he will not press charges if the driver agrees to read the Bible every day. So, now I'll tell you the whole story. Al Knowles, he's a 90-year-old pastor from the United States. He was in Taiwan, in Taipei. Have you ever been to Taipei?
No. Oddly enough.
I think it's just north of Albuquerque. No, it's not really. It's in Taiwan. But Al Knowles, a 90-year-old pastor, he was hit by a Taiwanese driver as he was walking in Taipei. The driver, it was a hit and run. He fled, but he was arrested shortly thereafter. Knowles suffered minor injuries, and he says the driver could make amends by reading the Bible. Knowles, who has lived in Taiwan now for 25 years, gave the driver 2 Bibles, one in English and one in Chinese. The driver accepted his offer, but he will still be charged by the public prosecutor no matter what. So his punishment will be less if he does what this pastor's saying. He's like, you know what, I want to forgive you, but here's the thing. If you read this, maybe you'll be a little nicer in the future. You wouldn't drive away if you hurt somebody, because that's not a good thing to do. I mean, it's just not. So what are your thoughts on that story? Do you think that's a good idea for him to do that, or do you think?
Well, I was thinking throw the book at him, but that's not exactly what I was thinking.
See, this is why I asked. I saw this look on her face where I knew she had some little nugget of knowledge going there, but I didn't know that's what it was going to be. You took me by surprise. It's not often that I'm speechless, but I'm just going to move on. We've got some good news coming your way. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Always like to wrap up with some good news, and I got a really neat story here. There's a video on our Facebook page that shows all about a young lady named Maria, a little girl that was born with no arms and no legs, and she was put in a special home, and she was finding difficulty to find an actual long-term family until the Stewart family came along. They filled out paperwork, and it took them a year to get all this done. They finally traveled to bring her home, and it's just an adorable video when you watch it. Maria has adjusted just fine to her new family. She's having a lot of fun with her siblings there, and it's just an adorable story. They've got a lot to give, and they're super excited to bring this young lady into their home. They're adopting another 9-year-old girl from the Philippines as well that has some special needs, and they just it seems like a really cool family here, Heidi. They're adopting this young girl that was, like I said, struggling to find a family because she's got some limitations. But you watch this video and you see this little girl and you see that she has no limitations in her mind whatsoever. She was painting a picture. She had the paintbrush in her mouth painting a picture. And the little video here is from a group called Love What Matters. And it's just a cool little video. And that was shared with me. So thank you, by the way, for sharing that. If you've got some good news that you would like to share and you don't happen to be one of those Facebook holdouts, what were they called again? The Facebook holdouts?
Yeah.
No, there was a different word for them, though. Anyway, whatever that is. If you've got a video or a fun story to share and you would like to share it for our good news, you can do that through our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening on a Friday, and have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back here all next week.
Time now for a bonus break on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. We've got a guest joining us right now. We're going to be chatting with Nicole Williams from Keystone Meats, and we're going to be talking about National Picnic Day. That's coming up this weekend. How you doing, Nicole?
I'm doing great, John. How are you?
Fantastic. National Picnic Day, April the 23rd. Now, this is a good time to go out and have a picnic, isn't it?
It sure is. It sure is. What time isn't good to go out and have a picnic? I guess
Well,
it's raining or snowing, right?
If it's snowing or raining, yeah, that'd be a bad time. But every other time is good. So hopefully we'll have some nice weather. I wonder why they picked April 23rd, because they always say April showers bring May flowers. They should have waited till like May or June to do this. But April 23rd is the day. So hopefully everybody will have good weather this weekend to go out and do some picnicking. Let's talk about a couple of fun facts about picnicking.
Yeah, absolutely. The first picnic table, did you know that the first picnic table for picnics was designed in the late 1800s, actually?
I did not.
People have been picnicking for a long, long time, and Italy's favorite picnic day is Easter Monday, actually. So maybe that's why it comes up, in April.
So Easter Monday is a big day for people to go picnicking?
It's called Angels Monday.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. That was a new one for me, too, so I thought I'd share that with you.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and then when an ant comes to your picnic, it lays down a scent, and that's how all the rest of the ants know to follow that.
So
come there, too.
When you get inundated with ants, it's because that first one said, hey, they got good stuff over here. Come and eat this one.
Yep. Exactly. And then there's the trail of ants that you see in the, I can visualize the cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Little trail of ants.
And I see them carrying a picnic basket away.
So, there's another thing, too, is just to be prepared when you take a picnic, right? You need to have, some ice and drinks and condiments and salt and pepper and, your cups and plates and plastic cutlery and just being prepared and having all that stuff with you makes it a lot more enjoyable, too.
Because if you get to the picnic and then that's when you realize you forgot to bring food, you're going to be in trouble.
Well, you better have the food.
I thought you were bringing the food. Yeah. So we should have a checklist and make sure that we pack all the right things in there. Now, again, we're visiting with Nicole Williams from Keystone Meats. Do you guys have some things that at Keystone Meats that are kind of popular items that people typically take on picnics?
We do. So, our meats are hand-packed, and they only have 2 ingredients. They're USDA-approved meat with just sea salt added, no water added, no artificial ingredients, no preservatives. They're just canned and cooked in the can. So when you open the can, they're already cooked for you. So you just have to heat them up. So they're great to make chicken salad that's portable, or like barbecue beef sandwiches, and be able to bring that. It makes really quick and easy meals for people. A lot of working moms and dads. This just becomes a really easy way to make dinner or to make transportable sandwich food.
And we've had a chance recently to try Keystone Meats because we've done a couple of interviews with you guys now for different things, and so we've tried some of the Keystone Meats, and they're darn good. I want to just tell you, it is very, very good.
Awesome. Yeah, they're really good and tasty and just top quality. So it really cuts down a lot on mealtime. I mean, I know I use them a lot all the time for my family at home, so it really helps to cut down. Everybody's in a hurry these days, and it just makes it easier and more enjoyable and time to spend with your family, whether you're indoors or outdoors. So it's a great product.
Because usually what happens when it's time to make a recipe, well, you got to cook this meat first, and then you got to make the recipe. Well, this meat is cooked in a can, ready to go, so you just dump it in, and it's ready to roll.
Exactly. It's easy for casseroles, for, like I said, chicken salads, beef sandwiches, pulled pork. There's pork, chicken, beef, ground beef, turkey. So just, all those things that can help make a mealtime really, really quick and easy for you.
Nicole, for folks that want to try some Keystone Meats, where can they find that in our area?
Walmart has Keystone Meats nationwide, so just check out your local Walmart and you'll be able to find those.
And I encourage you, if you go to a different store, if they don't have it, ask them to carry Keystone Meats, and if they, a lot of the time, that's all it's going to take. Just say, hey, could you guys carry that? And they'll reach out and get it.
Absolutely. Or you can go to KeystoneMeats.com.
Very good. Nicole, thank you very much for chatting with me about National Picnic Day.
Thanks, John. You have a great day.
Always a pleasure to visit with you
Enjoy
guys.
Picnic Day.
Thank you so much. And we're going to celebrate. We're going to get out and celebrate one way or another. Even if it's raining, I'll just take an umbrella. So,
Absolutely.
Again, National Picnic Day.
Have a good one.
You too. National Picnic Day this Sunday. So get out and celebrate on April the 23rd and have a picnic and have some fun. Again, we just chatted with Nicole Williams from Keystone Meats. You can learn more online, and I've got a link to their website on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.